Look, I'm gonna be honest here. If you look like that after 10 years of training, you're doing something wrong, and I say that with love, man.
You're on steroids. You have a huge advantage. Get off the steroids and show me what you look like. Show me what you look like as a natural.
Ten years of training. 32 years old, 6 foot, 175 pounds. Look, I'm gonna be honest here. If you look like that after 10 years of training, you're doing something wrong, and I say that with love, man.
Do you know how mad I am to hear this? And remember, I'm friends with this guy. Alex, you need to do better. How dare you make this video? What the cookbook is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Is this a joke? Are you cookbook serious right now? This man has an incredible physique, and he's trying to show what you can do while being natural. Alex, you're on cookbook steroids. You're not natural. You wouldn't look half as good as this guy if you were cookbook natural. And so you're going to take away his hard work and say, if you look like this, as in only this good, after 10 years of training, you're doing something wrong. How cookbook dare you? Most people with 10 years of training are not going to look this good. That guy, he has above average genetics, as evidenced by the fact that, hey, look at me, look at my back, look at the muscles I have, look how lean I am with muscle. I'm 6 feet tall and 175 pounds, and I have an incredible physique, and if you work hard, you too can look like me. That's his message. And then you say after 10 years you train like this, if this is all you look like, this is the best you can do, you're doing it wrong. What's wrong with you? I wasn't even going to do this video, and I saw it on the walk in and saw this and thought there's no cookbook way. And so why do you think people are going to want to do steroids? Why do you think? Because people who are juice heads on steroids blowing smoke up the asses of people who are natural. Oh, that's all you look like? That's a shit physique. It's mid. You're doing something wrong. Hire me. Hire me. I'll teach you how to train, how to eat. Because 10 years, you should look way better than that. Says the guy who's on steroids. You're on steroids. You have a huge advantage. Get off the steroids and show me what you look like. Show me what you look like as a natural. Can you believe this, people? Like, are you with me? Like, cookbooks? Like, come on. This is the best you could do.
6 foot, 175 pounds. Look, I'm gonna be honest here. If you look like that after 10 years of training, you're doing something wrong, and I say that with love, man. You don't need steroids to build a good physique. To build muscle, you need to be in a surplus of 300 calories for as long as possible. Now, this can range from 12 to 24 weeks, maybe even longer with a few mini cuts in between, just to control and regulate your body fat. Now, to lose fat...
As he sits there on steroids, obviously, and he admits to this, and he's thinking, no, you just need 300 calorie surplus for as long as possible. If you're in a 300 calorie surplus for as long as possible, you're going to get fat. Did you know that 100 calorie surplus for about a year straight is going to put on about 10 pounds of fat? And so for 10 years, it's about 100 pounds of fat. The majority of people who are obese, morbidly obese even, are in a calorie surplus about 100. But Alex is going to say, no, you just go on a calorie surplus about 300, and you're just going to get jacked. You'll be all muscle, and if you do gain some fat, a mini cut. That is not how it works. That is bullshit, and you need to do better. This is a horrible message, and no wonder people are thinking they need to use steroids, which brings me into this video, which was what I was going to do. Freaking Alex. No wonder he's not part of HCLT. You used to sponsor this guy. Thank goodness he's not still part of the company. Tony Huge Enhance on Instagram. The best first cycle.
What's the best first cycle, and how do we stick our little pinky toe into the pool of performance-enhancing drugs? Well, firstly, take something. Take anything. Just don't be natural, because being natural is a complete waste of time. We are on this earth for a very limited amount of time, and you don't want to live your life in regret like I did. I didn't start using steroids until I was age 30. I wasted 10 years of my life as a natural, hitting a plateau, dieting and training. Imagine all that time that I spent working on my body. If I put that into something more productive, how much more money I would have, what better relationships I'd have, how much more knowledge about other subjects I would have. Instead, I wasted so much time as a natural grinding in like a hamster wheel of no progress. I just don't want to see you guys make the same mistake. All of you who are natural out there are eventually going to come to the same conclusion as me. The earlier you do it, the better your life is going to be.
And so picture this. You just watched Alex Mendoza Mendoza's video and now you feel like a piece of shit because you've been training for 10 years and you don't have a physique that good, or you're thinking, that's a shitty physique. Well, the standards have just been raised. I don't know what I'm going to do. Then you put on Tony Huge's video, which has probably been created by AI, and saying exactly what you need to hear to make you feel like you need to use steroids. And so then you hear, what's the best first cycle? How do we start into the pool of using performance-enhancing drugs? Remember, you've just watched Alex's video. Now you feel like a piece of shit. Now you feel like you need steroids. Alex is on steroids. Look at his physique. It's very impressive, isn't it? So you're thinking, well, I'll use steroids and I'll look like Alex. Well, guess what? Most people who use steroids having a hard time looking like Alex. Most not even going to come close to that. Most people on steroids probably going to struggle to look like the guy who's 10 years training natural. We're thinking, oh, if I just take steroids, I'm going to look amazing. No, you're probably not going to look like Coach Greg if you go on Tren. It's probably not going to happen. And if you're on Test and Tren, you're probably not looking like the Tren twins. You guys think that steroids are the answer to everything. You're going to look amazing if you use them. You are not. Sure, they build up muscle faster. But unless you have elite level genetics, you're not looking like Chris Bumstead. And unless you have average or above average genetics, even with steroids, your physique still going to be mid.
Firstly, take something. Take anything.
Does that sound like good advice? Think of it. You're trying to stay 100% natural. Maybe you're on creatine. Perhaps you're on Turk Builder or Ecti Builder. You're on GO2 Max, natural supplements that you can get at Harder Than Last Time with code Greg for 15% off. But no, that's not good enough because, well, you need to look like Alex, because if you've been training for 10 years and you don't have an amazing physique, you're doing something wrong. And so you're going to feel like you're doing something wrong because most of you are not going to look like this. And so you're going to take something, anything. Well, what is that anything going to be? Well, if you watch the Tren twins, you're probably thinking Tren. If you watch other YouTubers, subscribers, you're probably thinking, I'm just going to inject whatever they tell me to inject. That is a horrible mistake. The majority of people using steroids, SARMs, peptides for the first time, they're clueless. They haven't studied anything. The first time I used steroids, I've been studying it for years. I wanted to be an expert in it before I ever touched them. And so before I touched the steroid, I knew what I was getting into. I knew the negative side effects, I knew the risks, and I'd already done 42 bodybuilding competitions natural. I'd already trained way more than 10 years, 20 years to get my physique. And then and only then did I decide to use performance enhancing drugs. And so if you're just starting out in training, don't think you're wasting your years by training natural. That why would you bother? Because in 10 years, you look like that guy that Alex talked about. Well, what's the point? He doesn't have a good physique. He has an amazing physique.
Just don't be natural, because being natural is a complete waste of time.
Don't be natural because it's a complete waste of time. Are you serious? Did you all know that using performance-enhancing drugs comes at a price, comes at a cost? There are negative side effects of which I don't hear any of them being mentioned here. It's easy to paint the fence and have one side looking amazing while the other side it looks like garbage. You painted the fence to say using steroids, SARMs, and so on, you're going to build more muscle, you're going to look amazing, perhaps you're going to look like Alex Mendoza. But what about on the inside? What about your blood work? What about your heart, your blood pressure? What about your cholesterol, your liver, your kidneys? Are they in order? And what about your mental health? When you go on cycle and you put on all that muscle, then you go off and you lose that muscle, how are you going to feel? Probably going to develop body dysmorphia. Does anyone talk about ED, erectile dysfunction? How often do people have erectile dysfunction while on and off performance-enhancing drugs? Trust me, it happens a lot. I've coached these athletes, done phone consults. I know of all the hardship stories. You look incredible, but yet you can't perform in the bedroom. Imagine how that feels. Not to mention the acne, the gynecomastia, also the negative blood work, of which you just say, oh, it's okay. You're getting your blood work done, it comes back bad, negative, and you just think, oh, I don't worry about that. Probably explained by maybe I wasn't sleeping enough. It was stress. It was this, it was that. You're never going to blame it on the steroids. People have a hard time believing, accepting that something that they chose to do is the cause of their problems.
We are on this earth for a very limited amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. And so why take the chance of limiting even more? You're on this earth for a finite number of years, and if you use performance-enhancing drugs, those years are probably going to go down. Is it worth it? And I'm telling you, when you're a teenager, early 20s, you're not old enough, you're not developed enough, you're not smart enough to be able to take that risk. You are not old enough to decide. And so there's a reason why there's a minimum age for drinking, for driving, and so on. You're not ready yet. And if you can't drink alcohol, what makes you think you can start using steroids?
And you don't want to live your life in regret like I did.
Yeah. Living your life in regret like I am doing right now, regretting using steroids. Why? Because I don't want to lose years off my life. Think of it. I already had an amazing physique. Have you seen my natural physique? Many people are saying, you couldn't have done this natural. 53% said, I don't believe you when I say I had that physique while being natural. They don't believe it. And so did I need to use steroids? What's the point? To impress more guys? Guys, wow, that's swole. Go to the bar. Wow, look at your physique. Men liked it more. Women didn't care. Men did. And so when you take steroids to get more muscle, you're doing it to impress perhaps the boys, perhaps yourself. But if you're just trying to look aesthetic, having a leaner, healthier physique, that is what people are looking for.
I didn't start using steroids until I was age 30.
That's great. Same as me. It's not a waste. You learn how to train effectively. You made progress. You had newbie gains. You were progressing. So long as you're doing better, you're doing it right. If you're improving your physique, you're making gains, then why do you need to change things? Are you doing better today than you were yesterday? Or are you doing better tomorrow than you were today? If you are, you're doing it right. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Well, his physique is better. Chris Bumstead, the Trent twins, Sam Sulik, they look better than me. Of course they do. But are you now going to use steroids just because they are? Are you going to go on steroids because Alex Mendoza said that 10 years of training, that's not impressive gains?
I wasted 10 years of my life as a natural, hitting a plateau, dieting and training.
Hit a plateau? You're in your 20s. If you hit a plateau in your 20s, you don't just use steroids. You figure out a way. Maybe you then change your diet, your training. That's why we're learning. That's why we're trying to optimize our training in the gym. It wasn't until I hit my natural genetic limit that I decided to add in something. I at least had put in the work. Have you hit your natural genetic limit in your teens? Are you another Jeff Seed? Oh, I peaked in a teenager. Oh, I am 100% natural. I just peaked as a teen. It doesn't happen. You guys are a bunch of idiots if you think this is true. You can continue to make gains in your 20s, and if you can't, figure it out. The answer is not steroids. That should be done only later in life, when you hit your natural genetic limit. And even then, only with the advice and consent of your doctor, and never, ever break the law.
Imagine all that time that I spent working on my body. If I put that into something more productive, how much more money I would have, what better relationships I'd have, how much more knowledge about other subjects I would have. Instead, I wasted so much time as a natural, grinding in like a hamster wheel of no progress.
You're not wasting your time as a natural. Just because the gains come slower, just because it's harder, just because you have to outthink, out-eat, out-train people on steroids because they have that advantage, it's not a weakness. It's a show of strength. You should be proud. If you're a natural and you're into your 20s, 30s, and so on, and you're 100% natural and you're grinding, you should be proud of yourself. Other people, they couldn't do what you did. They competed, sure, they dieted, they did amazing, they perhaps won first place, but they couldn't do it on their own, and you did. That's one thing that they can't take away from you. They might be bigger, they might be leaner, but they didn't do it on their own, and you did, and you should be proud. I know when I was natural, I was proud. When I competed 100% natural against guys who were using performance-enhancing drugs, and oftentimes I would even beat them, imagine how much sweeter that was. Could I have started using steroids at 20? Of course I could. Would I have won those competitions? Absolutely. Would I have turned pro much earlier than 35? Yes. But I wouldn't have known that I did it on my own. I would not have known what is my actual natural genetic limit. How far can I on my own push my body? And so I discovered that on my own, and it built up my character. I knew that I can fight this. I can do it. I can outwork everyone. And so are you really the hardest worker in the room? Are you really trying harder than everyone else? If you have an advantage, you're on test and trend. I don't think so. And so if you're in your teens and 20s and contemplating using steroids, or even if you already are on them, dare you to go off. Don't take them, or I'd like to see you try and go off. Try and do it on your own. Now remember, if you're not a teenager, as an adult, you can make your own decisions. I would suggest at least first, explore all your natural options. For example, Turk Builder, Ecti Builder, GO2 Max, creatine, pre-workout protein powders, pre-pumps, and so on. Use natural items and let that help you the most. Leverage your caffeine for before going to the gym. Get the dopamine from training harder than last time. And save using steroids until you're an older person. Until you're old enough and wise enough to make your own decisions. Once you've hit your natural genetic limit, and just because you didn't make gains for 1 month straight doesn't mean you're at your limit. Change things up, mix, study more, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to other channels. Try harder, experiment. Be the best version of yourself. Remember, if you're interested in the Seco protein bars, the cookbooks, the training books, use code Greg for 15% off. Head over to my website. Do it now. Do it! Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, watch a couple of bloops. Don't forget to like the videos. And if you need a free diet and training program, head over to my website, join the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.